And I also hear a fan blowing.
I'll turn my fan off.
Or
That's
just, you don't
probably
have to turn it
noises that air
off, just
conditioner
face it
just
away.
hooked on.
Unless it's that loud.
Shut up.
Can you still hear the fan?
Alright, silence for a second. Nope, you're good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nice sign for viewers, and we're not even live yet.
No, we're live right now. We haven't started talking.
Oh. Yeah, our audio's not going through, right?
No, it does.
Oh.
It actually ends up being quite entertaining.
Hmm. Oh, well, in that case.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah,
fine.
if you
Now
hear
I'm
the
going
bird
live,
in the
too.
background, it reminds me of the time at my grandmother's house. I used to live there, and I lived on the second floor. And, of course, birds decided to build a nest right outside my bedroom window when I worked nights. So, first thing in the morning, caw, 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 always waking me up.
Yeah, and NL, they're loud as fuck in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude. And because my grandmother also likes to feed them, so they show up here. Or at her house, I mean.
Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Living Joke Podcast, episode 6. Always a difficult episode of any movie franchise. This week, I'm going to bring the guys in a second. This week, we're going to be talking about dating, a lot on that. That was a topic I brought up, and I found some hilarious shorts. Um, then we're also going to talk about Magic the Gathering, which I have recently started playing, and we have been playing together. And we actually have some plans to live stream that at some point. We're going to rig up a camera in the gaming room and stream that at some point, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then we're also going to be talking a little bit about comic books. And I mean Will and Connor are going to talk about comic books. And I will sit here politely and look pretty while they do so. So, let me grab the guys for a second and let me change to this scene. There we are. Will, lighting? Can we get some lighting in your region?
Oh, you mean me?
Always a sense of theater.
That's great.
Always a sense of
Hold on
theater.
one second. I gotta go out of character. Ah, no, wrong button. Wrong button.
If you are if you're listening to this only, you should go check out the video on Rumble or on YouTube
Oh my
to
god, I got it
see
strapped around me like a fucking snake.
Will's
Okay.
theatrics. And now his theater is suffocating him. That's so. What have we learned, kids? Be careful with what you do because it may try to strangle you at some point. Um, so, welcome to episode 6, guys.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah.
Same.
So, I am amazed at how well this show is done for 6 episodes. We're already getting dozens of viewers. Dozens, I tell you, dozens. Which is a lot of fun. So, I thought for an opener, we would start with this rather entertaining tweet that I found. I need to pin some things. And it's the fact Howard Stern is being canceled at SiriusXM.
What?
Yes, so his contract is up at the end of this year, and SiriusXM has said they're not going to renew.
Oh,
So
rip to a legend, dude.
yeah. So, and it's kind of like he's actually been doing some really fascinating, down to earth interviews with some really great people and all this type of thing. And people forget. So he's been at Sirius since 2006.
Wow.
And basically turned satellite radio into a thing. Adoption of satellite radio was virtually non-existent before Howard Stern left NBC because he was saying stuff that standards and practices just couldn't deal with anymore. God bless their hearts. And went to SiriusXM where he could be able to say whatever he wanted and really let the taps loose. And obviously, he's obviously known as America's shock jock, and he had a girl blow up live on air at one point. All sorts of crazy, stuff and people, and we were watching one of the old Hollywood Squares segments from years ago. It was
It's not for the faint of heart, but if you're interested in Howard Stern, if you like Howard Stern, there's an old clip, you can find it on YouTube. Holly Weird Squares. There's a whole series. It's a side bit that he did. Very funny, but very, very adult. Please, content warning. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at Howard Stern.
Yeah, no, it's a crazy thing, and it's I always kind of glommed on, as someone who didn't really grow up in this region of the country, I always glommed onto it because it was all very, New York and very cosmopolitan, and I always kind of wondered, like, where does he find these people? Like, where do these people exist? Around this, here, they exist here. Because, like, we do not have them in Denver. That I will tell you that we don't have the people you find. No, they exist here, though, everywhere. You can find them on the street corner right now. And so it was always kind of like, oh wow, very different slice of life sort of thing. But yeah, I was really shocked last night. And people are saying he's getting quote unquote canceled. It's like, no, they're just kind of parting ways. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start a podcast or something. I don't know how wedded he still is to doing the show or whatever have you. But
Howard Stern, come on our podcast.
Yeah, Howard Stern, be our first guest.
That would be a little crazy, I think. But but that's, and so of course every, weird crazy thing he did, is coming out on Twitter. There are people dunking on him, including apparently last year he told people that, if they voted for Trump to stop listening, and that's why the show's getting canceled and all this sort of thing. And so
the contract's just ended.
Yeah, it's like the contract's ended and Sirius is ready to move on, which honestly isn't terribly surprising after this many years. And honestly, he also might be done. He's in his early 60s now, doing a daily show. I do a weekly show and this, and usually 1 to 2 interviews. That's a lot. Doing 4 hours every day, that's your life. Like, you don't really have any life outside of that sort of thing. And maybe he wants to spend more time out in California. He has a a wife now, all this sort of thing. So it may just be a change of life a time for a change of life on for all parties involved, quite honestly. But I thought it would be a good way to open little pop culture anecdote. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but
Connor, have you ever watched a lot of Howard Stern?
No, I have not.
Oh, well, we're gonna have to fix that.
Yeah, we should.
yeah, that's But our first real segment, that's not a boring intro segment, is all the differences between comic books and movies. And for this segment, we're going to have a little visual presentation. So we'll
Yeah.
change to that, and let me grab you guys. Here you are, and here you are. So we'll put Connor over here. We'll put Will kind of down here. We'll put me over here. I have so little to contribute to this conversation, so this is really you guys. So, yeah, comic book and movies and differences. Go, go, go.
Well, since we jumped right into this image, I guess we've been talking about how, especially in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how much it differs from the comics. It's just pandered to children so much more, which is understandable. But with modern day CGI, some of these stories would be awesome. So I have on screen here, I believe this is a cover for one of the chapters of Starship Hulk. I don't want to spoil the story too much for people, but all I'll say is that in essentially that Hulk you're seeing there, even though they're standing on the ground, is really about the size of planets and is a starship flying through the galaxy.
Isn't it
You
made
wanna-
of the Hulk too?
Yes. Well,
The
yeah,
Hulk
it's
made
it's
himself
the
into
Hulk's
a
body.
spaceship.
It's
Yes,
the Hulk's
it's the Hulk.
body. Yes, without spoiling too much, I can't really say how it happened without spoiling some of the story. So
No, but if you want to find out how Hulk turned himself into a spaceship, you should absolutely check this out.
Well, I think one of the points that you wanted to make when we came up with this idea the other night was that the movies have gotten a bit thin and they're having trouble making money. But there's all this wonderful storytelling in the comics, of course, that is not making it into the movie / now TV part of the franchise, and that doesn't necessarily serve these characters or this story.
Well, that's
yeah,
true.
well, I'll get into that. But do you want to bring up the other image first, just because these are two of my what I find to be the more interesting comics. Here we just see Venom with an interesting what looks to be DNA pattern on him. This is from, if you want to read them, Meat Gardener Venom. And again, without spoiling too much, we'll just say that Venom essentially re-inhabits life.
He's got them symbiotes.
But yes, I think what I was saying the other night, and one of my biggest issues is that part of why I think they won't make these comics and adapt them in the films is because you have so many people writing so many different variations where the MCU is trying to tell a consistent story, so I understand that. But then the MCU has a lot of the plot holes and issues with their own story that just don't make sense, or they throw something in there because it seems like it's either meant to be fun or some kind of foreshadowing, but for 20 fucking movies later when no one would even really remember, like, the moment anymore. What made me want to show off the Hulk story is that I believe it's towards the end of Thor Ragnarok. They summon an entity to destroy Asgard, essentially, because they are... Oh, big spoiler warning. if you haven't watched it, but I assume most people that are fans have watched it by now. And they summon a being to destroy Asgard because they can't stop Thor and Loki's sister Hela. And while this being is attacking Asgard, the Hulk jumps up onto it and starts punching it in the face. And Thor is yelling at him, like, "Oh, stupid Hulk, don't smash for once." Heavily implying that Hulk could just destroy this thing if he became infuriated enough, which, in my opinion, just unravels the whole point of summoning the thing in the first place, or the whole movie. And you're kind of just saying, oh, let's get Hulk pissed enough and he can do anything, which tends to be the case in the comics. But if you're going to show that anyway with no relation to the story, and then you still soup up Thor to be even stronger, too much nonsense.
Yeah, one of the problems that it has, the series has, the way that Joss Whedon directed it, and the production and everything. It's absolutely meant for children. One, and I totally get that. Disney brand, got to be brand friendly, got to tell a consistent story. But like the power scaling, it's the same kind of problem like DBZ has, where it's like, okay, in the movies, it's almost like kind of like they forgot, and then like some intern comes across this page that would be perfect, and they're like, oh yeah, Hulk has this power where he gets ultra pissed Hulk super extreme edition, and and but like they never mention it before. There's no like alluding to it. It's just like, oh yeah, he can just do this. Don't think
And then
about it.
it's really mentioned again.
Yeah, and then never again. This is not in relation to Marvel, but just in terms of the movies in DC universe. When they did Justice League in the first cut where Joss Whedon took over, you can absolutely see the changeover, because it goes from very grim tone to suddenly family friendly comedy. But there's a part in it where they're at Batman's lair, and his mobile lair, and Aquaman, I think, or whoever, takes a batarang off the table and he puts it in his coat, and then he never does anything with it. I'm like, why would you include that scene? I was waiting for him like at the last minute to be like, oh yeah, and then like whip it at Thanos, or I mean whip it at the bad guy in that movie. I can't remember who the bad guy is. But no, it's they give you all these little like winks and nods, and then never mention it again. The other thing I'll say, Connor, you will probably have a lot to say on this. The amount of man children that love cape shit is much larger than the child fan base. I will say that. In terms of people who go to the movies and buy the merchandise and the Funko Pops and whatever the hell else, you degenerates. No, I'm just kidding.
But not really.
But not really. No. You've got an aging fan base that you've had since comic books ever came out. And where are we not old enough or mature enough to have a R-rated Marvel movie? Like, besides Deadpool. Even Deadpool, that's a PG-13 movie, but it got rated R because there's light violence, and I say light, give me a second, and light violence, dismemberment, and language. The light violence being like, yeah, there are people getting shot, but it's like there's no like graphic bullet entry and exit wounds. There's not like rib cages flying apart. It's not like The Boys. It's just a PG-13 movie, and like you dismember Deadpool, he just puts his arm back on. It's not even a thing.
And they
There's
make it
there's no
comedic.
stakes. There's no stakes. I know he's supposed to be a comedic character, but like, if you're gonna make an M-rated, why don't you start doing other Marvel movies that are M-rated? I mean, sorry, talking in game speak, R-rated, and do like separate ones. It's like, okay, the kiddos can watch the PG version. Make a movie where the Hulk smashes Thanos' head between his like hands like a watermelon. Like,
Yeah, I think they show. I was telling you about the series, the Marvel What Ifs, where they kind of get more into bringing some of the absurd things that the characters do in the comics. And if I remember correctly, one of them was what if Vision and Thanos actually like met each other, and Vision just sees Thanos immediately, is like, "Oh, you're a threat," and just uses the Mind Stone to beam cut Thanos in half.
But Thanos was too quick. Yeah, in Endgame, he like absolutely sucks. Like nobody knows who he is. He's just running around. He's got a jewel on his head, and then he gets like immediately dies, and then like plot, go plot.
Oh, Vision.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
it's
Endgame.
too bad.
Yeah, he didn't even do anything. He just runs around and then dies. Like.
Thanos, by the way, the MCU version is one of my most fucking hated villains and one of the biggest, like, perpetrators of this issue. Because for the most part in the comic books, Thanos is written the same way. It's not even like they could argue that they want this consistency, blah, blah, blah. And then they bring in and give us this absolutely fucking annoying, self-righteous, wannabe fucking not martyr, but yeah, just fucking self-righteous is the best term, his whole mentality and why he talks about wanting to end the universe and shit, and it's just a joke compared to his comic book self, and to even call him a villain isn't right, because compared to his comic book self, where he's just the embodiment of fucking shitty and evil, that Thanos would have snapped twice, he would have snapped 100 times, he doesn't give a shit. Spoiler warning for comics, the only reason that he wanted to wipe out the universe is because he's in love with Lady Death and just wanted to kill as many living beings in front of her as possible to make her fall in love with him and build her a throne of their fucking corpses.
Yeah, original Thanos is badass. Original Thanos don't take no shit.
New Thanos is just like, well, what the hell?
You should have aimed for the head. Or
what the hell is, what's the villain from the earlier movies that Tony Stark creates, like the machine guy?
Death something?
No,
Death Machine, isn't it?
No, talking about something else.
Oh, sorry. But, yeah, Iron Man and Death Machine, unrelated, but great combo for range and MVC2, if you want to be annoying. And Captain Commando, Ariel. Just a little pro tip if you want to annoy your friends. I'm not throwing it.
The character I'm thinking of is Ultron.
Oh, Ultron. Yeah. I wasn't sure if you meant the first one, like the Iron Man one, or... Yeah, that's Avengers 2, Age of Ultron.
Okay, yeah. Thanos just gives me, like... The MCU version of Thanos feels like, oh, we were lazy, and again, we want to be kid-friendly, so we can't make him his real self. Let's just make him basically do what Ultron wanted to do.
Yeah, just destroy everything.
Same fucking motives, really. Like, oh, I need to wipe things out to bring balance to the universe.
Mm-hmm. But no, original Thanos would have just kept snapping.
Kept snapping. Yeah.
It's like a cabaret after midnight.
Ultimately, to reiterate, I just think it's silly that I feel like their biggest argument is that they don't want the stories bouncing around and fucking want this continuity, but proceed to ruin their own continuity, just throw in random crap that like really doesn't make sense for the movies.
Yeah, why do they keep bringing back Ironheart? It's never been popular, and now she looks like a Mattel like Playmobil hero.
So ridiculous.
Her costume does not look good. I'm fine with whoever taking over this, as long as they're like good actors. But man, the costume looks like it was like, this is what a 6-year-old thinks is cool. And I get that they're marketing to children, but man, this is a little much. Marvel's Fisher-Price edition toys. Tugboat.
All right, Connor. What else have you got
Anything
on this
else?
topic?
Oh, I've ranted on as much as I shall about comic books and what they could do with the movies. It does connect back to our Disney conversation about how use the technology we have, you could make absolutely incredible visual scenes. I'm not saying they don't in some movies, but it could even be 10 times better. Not just in Marvel, and everything.
Yeah, and everything. Everybody, it's like these low effort, like, I want to say cookie cutter style movies. They are just, Disney's just really tanking themselves. I knew it was bad. I could tell it was going bad when they started acquiring studios, like buying studios. I'm like, oh yeah, they're trying to go full corporate expansion levels. It's not going to go good. You spread yourself too thin, your resources get shitty. Quality goes down. It's not good.
Always. All right. Well, we'll put us back in this format, and we will march onward to our campy discussion on Magic the Gathering.
Hell yeah.
So, as we all know, I had stopped playing Magic sometime in, I think, 2008 or 9, after only playing a couple years, and I sold all my cards, got rid of all my stuff, and moved on because I was, growing up and doing other and big things. And fast forward another 15, 16, 17 years, well, life didn't really work out, and now I'm back playing Magic. So,
we've dragged you back into the world of
MTG. That I had worked so hard to escape.
Too bad.
And
never escape.
Yes, well, yes.
The only way out is in a box, Holmes.
Well, times have changed a great deal on our attitudes towards such things between back then and now. Nerd culture took over in the intervening years, and that was definitely not true when I was first started. It was still, very much sort of the underground weird thing. If you knew, you knew, but that was about it, sort of thing. And now these things are it's everywhere. It's much more common than it used to be, which is one of the big changes. But as I've also discovered, the game has changed so very much in the intervening years between when I played and now. And so, anyway, we're opening a discussion on Magic the Gathering. So I'm still getting used to things. Everything is so much more powerful than it used to be. It's a little crazy, a little absurd. I feel like I am learning from scratch, almost like I never played before. So
I'd love us to talk about the power creep, but that'll probably go on a little while. Cam, did you find that it was weird, the transition? Because I believe you said back when you used to play, for our Magic fans out there, we have some different formats of Magic. You used to play Standard primarily, right?
I did, yes. I played Standard, yeah.
So Standard, just so in case for people that don't know, would be just a deck of 60 cards, and you can have up to 4 copies of most cards in the deck. I don't remember all the rules. It's been forever since I played Standard as well.
Yeah.
But then our group, primarily, we play a format called Commander. What do you think of the shift?
I think that's been fine. I would have definitely loved to have had, well, I mean, I did kind of, but when we used to play six man, games in college in a big long hall in what used to be the cafeteria of our dorm. They built a new cafeteria, so that was just open space now. But yeah. No, I mean that's been okay. The getting used to, obviously all the new cards, all the things they can do, all the complications. I have a deck that uses, energy counters. Those were not a thing back in the day, and I didn't play a deck with those things even if they were. That's been that transition's been fine. It's been everything else that's been a little bit more, a little bit more crazy. So, like in the Aether Drift Commander deck I play, you have vehicles that have to be crewed by creatures. That wasn't a thing back in the day. Sort of. I mean, that's where the transition's been hard for me. It's like the game's just so much more complicated now. I mean, back in the day it was pretty simple and pretty straightforward, and now everything is more powerful. Everything does more, and you've got, we thought we were doing hot shit when we just had trample. Now you've got all these other modifications, and so, it's at some point in the game you start getting out your calculator and start taking notes on all the things
Sometimes.
to do. Like, yeah, I mean, it's just it's that's been the hard part for me, is that the game's just a lot more complicated than it used to be.
The game is afoot.
It's a foot.
I personally did not start playing Magic until maybe 2018. I had some friends that bought me a pre-con deck. Forget even who it was, but yeah, ended up liking it. I got a deck gifted to me by a friend, and I just built my second deck ever. Usually, I play Commanders Marisi. I play Atla Polani, Nest Tender, and now I have Gerard the Lich King, something like that. Lich something. Anyway,
Yeah.
love it. Love
He's
it.
the
Lots of
Lich
fun.
King.
He is the Lich King.
I want to see if I can find a card if you guys want to vibe or whatever for a minute.
Yeah. No, it's no, we thought we were very fancy when they released a new Acronis, and I had a complete set of 4 at the time, and people that at the time that was big news. Like, that's how long ago this was. And so, yeah, it's just, but I kind of quit playing the game right when I think the first edition of the Planeswalkers came out, and I mean, I saw where even though it's hard to get used to, I'm not surprised because I knew that's where the game was going. Like, I knew that it was getting a lot more crazy and complicated and whatnot, and so it's yeah. So I think it's just amazing how much power creep there has been, and how much you can do. And battles used to be somewhat straightforward unless someone really had found some weird stuff, and now, even just based upon the precons I bought that Connor has lovingly modified, because I have neither the time nor the inclination, it's amazing how much more moving parts there are in any given game. It's still a little nuts to me, to be honest.
Were there did you have any card mechanics that you found difficult to deal with? Like, one of the ones that I always had a lot of trouble with, which is stupid because it seems really straightforward, is Saga cards.
Yeah, I used to play slivers back in the day, and there's lots of card mechanics that will affect all slivers on the field. That could, if you had a lot of stuff on the board, that could make things very complicated. playing against someone who was also playing a slivers deck basically led to a stalemate. And it didn't take very long. You get 5 or 6 creatures out there, and everything's applying to all slivers, and it just becomes, there's no way either party is going to win. And those could get complicated. But I mean, back then you had to get into some really kind of esoteric stuff before stuff started getting weird. Now the weirdness starts from the jump. It's just so much more complicated now.
I'm just trying to find the fucking commander that you have a picture of it anyway to do a comparison on power creep.
A commander I have?
Cam's energy deck commander.
Oh, yeah. That's it's yeah, it's a whole it is genuinely a whole new world. I mean, really, it is, from someone who stopped playing and then didn't really touch it for 15 plus years. It's very, very different. So, oh, we have a visual, maybe.
Ooh.
I see Connor looking intently at the screen.
Pull that up.
Yeah, it'd probably be better. Oh, there she is. Alright, now I have her name, so I can freaking.
I bet she's beautiful.
Yeah, very beautiful magic card indeed.
Yeah, I think one of the other, I think things I noticed, and we've talked about mostly because I'm very, very good at losing, which is true for almost all games, is how, the imbalances now are very real. If you don't keep up and really know how to build decks and everything, you will get left in the dust. And I know this because Connor has built a kitty deck to play with us because he kept blowing us out of the water like we weren't even doing anything. And so he's been very kind. He's slummed it down with the rest of us. So
Just ignore whatever on earth I just did in the dock.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, I won't have you bring up images. I'll just read them.
That's.
I was gonna read them anyway. Holy shit. Alright, I fixed that.
Yeah.
technical difficulty.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, the link he posted was like 3 pages long. So,
yeah, it's not a link at all, I guess.
yeah.
Don't even know. Alright,
You're gonna
yeah, but
like that, and your computer's gonna get AIDS.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, the talk about power creep here. I have one of my commanders in front of me here. I'll show him on the screen for a second. This guy probably doesn't look great on camera, but that's okay. This is a pretty old pre-con. What year did this drop? It's from a few years ago, 2021. Very tribal-based commander for spirits, but I'll just read what he does. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each spirit you control. He has the keyword flying. And lastly, whenever Millicent or another non-token spirit you control dies or deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So this commander's not bad at all for tribal. But when I compare it in a second, I'll say the things I'm looking at are how little, or not really how little this is, but how slow it is. The base cost is 7, so you need numerous spirits to even reduce its cost. It's helpful for recurring it from the command zone if it dies, but still you need, in a casual game, numerous turns to build up these spirits. Flying's a strong keyword, but that's all that's on your commander, whoop-de-doo. And then getting a spirit from combat is probably the best part of them because it doesn't read it procs for each individual attack, so if I attack with 3 spirits, I'll get 3 spirits. Again, I still need to attack with these spirits. To do that, where we'll compare that to Cam just got a commander deck, and the commander is called... God, Google is just being stubborn. It just doesn't want to show me a good image that I can read. There we go. Pioneer. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, you get 2 energy. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, create an XX colorless vehicle named Nalar Aetherjet with flying, crew 2, where X is the amount of energy spent this way. Now this thing, reading it initially might still sound a little slow, but it's not. It's a total engine. The deck already has another 100 ways to get you energy. And then whenever he's attacking with any vehicle or something, he can pay all that energy to make another one, as strong as he wants. Then he has 2. It just kind of always doubles itself over and over again. Really great engine, the speed comparison. Everything's just so much faster.
Oh, yeah. Last time we played, I had 2 of those out, and they were both 7/7. And I had so many creatures. At one point, I attacked and was actually able to crew everything and swing all of it. Not that it mattered; it was the only significant thing I did the whole game.
The
But
only
it was a very lovely moment for while it happened.
You would have crushed me. I just happened to draw Dina and Exquisite Blood.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anything else in my hand that would have saved me if you decided to attack the next turn.
Yeah, it was. But even the point at which it kind of went infinite with you, it like if we had played 3 more turns, that energy buildup would have just absolutely gone insane, and I would have been cranking out stuff like an assembly line. It would have gotten quite ridiculous. So. Yeah, it was quite, so it is quite amazing. And as I said, Connor has lovingly and kindly modified my deck to actually for suitable purposes. Because he's a very kind person. So yes, so it's been a fun experience, I have to say. You know, sad for my life, but fun to play.
We're enjoying that we have a third to play Commander with, because
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Not that there's anything wrong with playing 2-player, but it does take a while.
Yes. And
Commander, I just think isn't really like geared for it as well. You get these situations where it's like you either play both very even decks, and then like you just said, it can take forever. There's a lot of decks that you can't even play in 2-player. I just built a group hug deck, for example, where it's not that the deck can't win, but the purpose of the deck usually is to make everyone at the table go off, get their decks going faster, draw everyone cards, and give buffs to all players and their creatures, etc. That becomes completely pointless in a 1v1. Or you get the last situation where it's just, okay, one person breaks out a deck that just goes infinite on turn 3, and then... I mean, that's annoying anyway, but...
Yeah. No, I mean, that was even a problem back in the day. So I was a Friday Night Magic person through most of 2005 and 2006. I went to college with my old buddy Devin Bradley, who got me into playing Magic to start with. And there were definitely, you know... There was kind of a class system in the Friday Night, and this is several dozen people. So you kind of had the beginners, people who didn't really have great decks, and they kind of left. They were out early. Then you had the middle class, people who had good decks. They'd stick around till, and then you had about 5-10 people at the very top who had really, really good stuff. And I was really happy for my own self when I got good enough at building and everything that I was staying till the end of the night. You know, I was there at 10:30, you know, and I had curfew at 11 and Devin had like 10:30, so we're actually trying to get out of there cuz I got to get him home and then I got to drive to, to get home myself, and so that was fun to be kind of like would love to stay but we actually got to go. I got to drop off my buddy and then drive home. So it was crazy. So
You can even you can crazy plays and stuff are even more common in standard. Like Commander's built to be a casual scene, so even with people creating like what they'd call CEDH or competitive EDH decks,
yeah.
it's still you can win super early with them, but it's more like turn 5 or 6 usually, unless you get a God Hand, where standard you have 4 copies of everything. It's way more likely statistically for you to draw your combos or whatever within the
If you
first
want to be
couple turns.
super annoying, play blue and standard. Just be super annoying.
Yeah, there was some people that definitely did that sort of thing. I found back in the day I didn't really get kind of going crazy till I bought a ton of cards and kind of tore apart the precons and made new stuff. You really had to DIY it. I think what was more crazy, and I think even Connor was a bit impressed by this, was how good the Commander precon I bought was out of the box. And that was definitely not the case back in the day. You bought decks to get cards that you were gonna kind of do your own thing. Where I literally unwrapped it all from Target, sort of thing, and then walked into the game room and played the same night, and it was kind of chill. So, um, yeah, it's been really cool. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, we're gonna try to live stream a Magic evening at some point. It requires a little technical rigging and getting a laptop or computer out to the game room because we don't really have anything in there. But
It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, it's
It'll
not.
be fine.
Yeah, take a little bit of rigging, but we'll do that at some point. But it's been really cool. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm very social. It's something that I would have never gone back to on my own, but around the right people, I can be convinced. So, it's yeah. So it is an incredibly social thing, and we
Connor,
do.
I think he's talking about us.
It is. Well, even just Magic in general, the community was always really, really cool. I mean, I enjoyed the Friday Night Magic scene. I'd never been in that scene until my friend got me into it. Again, something I would have never done on my own. So, it was really cool. So, I was I was very much working in normie land at that point, and I was working in the state senate, and it was Friday, and I was kind of like, I need to leave by 5, and someone's like, why? I'm like, I gotta go to a Friday Night Magic game west of town, and they're just kind of like, you have to do a what and the where? I'm like, never mind, but I gotta go. I'm leaving the building now. Like, so it was fun because I was still very much living in normie land. So, anyway, final thoughts on Magic before we start on into dating.
Let's just move on unless you guys have anything else you want to say.
Nothing for
Okay,
me.
well, I always do a last call. So, all right, so um, I'm going to say right at the beginning of this, because the hot topic is going to be why men have given up on dating. And I'm going to say right at the beginning of this, before people get weird, that there's a couple things to remember when we're having this discussion. One, this is not true of everyone or every relationship, so don't take it personally. Two, everyone having this discussion has been in a long term relationship, and I think at least two, if not all of us, have actually lived with a partner. So this is not some basement, neckbeard, her to her type of thing. These, like, we're actual dudes who actually have dated and been in relationships with women for considerable periods of time, and but all find ourselves single in a very strange dating scene, especially those of us that are old, me mostly. And so I kind of started on this because I had seen some particularly caustic dating stuff on Twitter, that which I couldn't find I had saved posts, couldn't find what app I saved them in. It was very frustrating. So I had to kind of go around and find other stuff. But I've gathered some material for you guys to react to. Um and and so I think we'll just kind of start in on that basis to get the discussion going. So,
Let's do it.
yes. Um all right, and I'm going to bring myself out of Siberia cuz I put myself up in the corner for the comic book discussion. I'll bring myself back down to earth. So,
Welcome back to the motherland.
yes, thank you. So, the first one we have here is most men are not really willing to step up and take on all the demands that marriage and fatherhood places on them. They are simply unwilling to take on extra responsibilities when they don't receive respect, authority, or appreciation from women for their efforts. And this is an unpopular opinion about men.
Why is it an unpopular opinion, though? I mean, I get it, but I think the end of the statement kind of, like, sums up right there. If people don't want to take on these responsibilities, it's probably not because they're lazy and just don't feel like they want to take on these responsibilities. It's because they feel like there's no reason for it when they don't get. It's not even about fiscal gain, like, and it's not even about a partner. If your own family and the people you love can't appreciate what you go through and try to support that, then why is somebody going to put themselves through it?
But I think that's kind of the point. Is like, yeah, it makes sense. It adds up. I wouldn't even say he's necessarily wrong or incorrect about that. I think the fact that you say something like that and it's considered kind of provocative. I think there's even some comments that are kind of like, yikes, all this type of thing. Like this person here, a woman said, "Wait, you want respect for question mark doing the baseline, but don't want to respect women doing just as much? It goes both ways." That would be kind of think why it's a bit of an quote unquote unpopular opinion is because as far as she's concerned, you know, doing all the demands of marriage of all that that's just that's not anything remarkable. It's not anything of note. That's just how things should be. That kind of answers your question, sort of thing. And again, this gets into the changing expectations. I had in my notes that there's all these sort of new expectations being placed on men, and men by and large aren't necessarily stepping up to the plate to all those new expectations, and it's creating a bit of a crisis for dating and marriage and fertility and all these downstream effects. Will, you're about to say something.
Yeah, and for relationships, I think people have to be honest with themselves about what type of relationship they want. You can't just date anybody and hope it'll work. I mean, you really have to be picky with your partner if you're going to spend a long time with them. I'll just say in nature, again, this is not anything for society, human society, but in nature, most men, let's relate this to single mothers. I dated a single mother. I loved her. No hate on single moms. No hate on single moms. But in nature, other males, let's say a lion, if a lioness has cubs or just had cubs and you have a new male lion partner, or even if it's your current male lion partner, they often sometimes, maybe lion's a bad example, Tasmanian devils, they kill their offspring. They kill them. Other animals will not take care of children like
So
their
do
babies that are not
lions, so do
theirs.
large primates, gorillas and
Okay, lions
orangutan
do.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but yeah, I went with the safer T-Devil, but just in case I was wrong. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot to ask of another man to take on a child that's not theirs. Now, I mean that in the way that, like, it's a lot to ask some men to do. There are people out there, other men, that have no problem taking on the responsibility of, like, being a stepfather. Um, I think that some of the onus goes on women, though, because, maybe, I'm not saying every relationship, but sometimes a lot of people make poor choices at who they breed with. Like, I'm sorry, your life's not going to get any better if you're dating Kyle Shooter Quickfeet McGavin. I I don't think this dude's reliable to hang around long term. But yet you met him on a first date and got nutted in unprotected, and now you're pregnant. And it's like, okay, like, stupid mistake. We love our kids, but when you're taking on that responsibility, you have to be honest with yourself. Like, I can't handle that, so I'm not going to step up to it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, no, I don't necessarily, and I think it's even. I mean, even in situations where the relationship has born children, whatever have you, and guys decide to check out of it, and I've had some instances of that in my personal life. I knew a woman, her and him, they met, they got married, she was ready to start a family, they had a kid right away. He lasted 6 months. I'm not even lying, 6 months.
Yeah.
And hit the bricks. And I was really surprised because they were so great together, sort of thing, and I called her kind of when she had announced it, and I was kind of like, good Lord, what happened? And she said, yeah, fatherhood was not for him.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Well, can we go? Can we revisit her comment real quick?
Yeah, let me scroll
The
down.
one right below it.
Yeah.
Not that I really I don't know this person, nor do I really care much about their opinion, but even on, like, her comment to me is silly beyond just an issue of relationships, and I think that not all of the relationship issues of why men don't want to date or etc come from it, but I think we've been seeing this shift just in life as a whole of a lack of, like, a feeling of community. And to note, she says something very specific in this comment: want respect for what? Doing the baseline. Men and women out there both, anyone watching, who the hell is doing the baseline right now? No one is thriving, more or less surviving by doing the baseline. Anyone in this household, not that we're gonna blast it on here, but if they were to share their past and their lives and some of the things, even just the past couple of years that they've done for a career, I'll share a little bit of mine without details, but I was working an absolutely insane job to make okay money, but in this day and age, I've done the math. I could have maybe supported myself and a partner, maybe somewhere decent, not even a nice house. If I wanted a child, that's a whole nother story. And that's the thing. It's like, her opinion is kind of invalid both ways, and men and women should work from both ways to respect each other more, because I think, not to be mean, but unless you're just an absolute lazy bum that doesn't care about yourself in life, most people that are actually putting in effort and working hard, it's not the baseline anymore. You have to do 10 times what our grandparents used to have to do for a sliver of the results.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that's a big story as well, and I think also the top comment belies a change within society. There was a time when, being a father, a husband, that still has a lot of cachet. I won't say it doesn't, but it's not what it was in the past, and I think a lot of guys, they're going to look for the thing that's going to confer some status, partly because women find that very attractive. And there's not a lot of that going around for men these days. And I think that's part of the reason why guys are not necessarily falling all over themselves for a certain type of life or whatever have you. Is not only are you right, Connor, the dollars and cents, the math ain't mathin', as the kids would say. Not only is it dollars and cents wise sort of a crazy thing to do, but what are you getting from it?
Yeah,
Not
I
much
mean,
these days.
we know personally a lot of couples that are in I don't want to say dead end relationships, but just the unhappiness. And it's like, okay, like not in every case. There's some I'm going to say on both sides, because we know women that are married to bums, and we know guys that are married to leeches. Um, excuse me. When you're dealing with a partner like who's who is that bad, I mean, you got to stand up for yourself and like get rid of that person in your life. You need to eliminate toxic people from your life. You need to make like smart choices. The thing that this comment bothers me about, what bothers me about this comment is, I don't think women realize how much men think about or have to deal with on a daily basis. Um, Not that anything like in this household is malicious or anything, but people test each other constantly. We do it in a fun palling around way because we're bros. But
Right.
there you get tested a lot. There are people out there that would want to pick a fight with you. Um, this is kind of like this is a stupid example, but like it is a petty example, I should say. But like men don't get there's no men's night. There's women's nights at bars. There's no men's nights. You know. We
The
don't have
closest you get is industry night.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these people, they're out there like working hard, and then they come home to what? A wife that or a girlfriend that doesn't cook for them, doesn't really take care, seemingly like give a shit about them, like. And I know, like, if you, let's say it's a single mother, being a single mother is a full-time job. I get that. It's a full-time job in itself. Being a parent is a full-time job. And it's hard when you're with two people. It's harder when you're with one. Um, but like, I'm gonna just, I'm sorry, ladies, if this makes you mad. Um, it's not impossible for you to sweep the floor while the child is in the playpen. Like, or watching TV. It's not impossible for you to get something done in the house. If you have that type of relationship, you stay at home and your husband works. And you're not doing stuff for him, you're not, even if you don't do all that stuff, if you're not giving him the old gluck gluck or the, the Gooch Twister 3000, I mean, what do you exactly contribute to this relationship? You're a babysitter and a nag because you don't do anything, yet you're constantly demanding. And it's not
Great
that
at
you're not.
holding down the furniture.
Yeah, you're great at holding. You're great at being at being a mother and staying home, but like you can't also forget your partner completely when you become a parent.
Well, I mean, one of the things, and actually, Dr. Bruce Chalmers, I had him on the Cameron Journal podcast. This episode aired on Friday. I think one of the things he talks about a lot, especially with children, and I've watched this go both ways because I have a lot of friends with kids at different ages and stages. The
Mm-hmm.
people who usually stay married are ones that understand they're married first and the children are kind of second. The
Mm-hmm.
ones that don't survive are when the children start to come first and the marriage falls away due to entropy because no one's looking after it, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a very important thing. Even in my own life, one of the reasons why I have struggled in relationships is because I tend to work a lot. I have the Cameron Journal, which is its own publication. I also work for Suit Media, and who does the Soupcast Network, of which this show's a part of. And so I basically run 2 businesses. That doesn't leave a ton of time for a personal life. It doesn't necessarily leave a ton of time for a partner. And even though the fact that I am so blessed to be able to work from home, especially the last couple years with my health crisis, because I had long COVID and chronic fatigue, which only very recently has begun to ease. So thank goodness for working from home. Even though I work from home, I can't just run off and dash off. Just today, I have had a recording. I have had a meeting. I have had prep for the show. I did not even eat breakfast till 2:30 in the afternoon. And I've been up since 10:30 this morning. Like, it's been crazy today. And I woke up with a sinus headache because I had too much dairy yesterday. But, like, it's very hard for someone to fit into a schedule. And if I'm releasing a book and I'm about to release America's Lost Generation, I will be doing 3 or 4 appearances a week for a month to promote that book. That's very hard for someone to fit into. Best piece of advice my dad ever gave me on dating, and he worked a very complicated job where he was gone for 6 months of the year. Out of the state, out of the country for 6 months of the year when I was a kid. Until they got a better plane with a longer range and could be home more. He always said, don't marry someone till they've been through the absolute craziest time of your job. At the time I was working in fashion, so at that time it was, do not marry anyone till they've been through Denver Fashion Week. Because Denver Fashion Week was 24/7. I didn't sleep for 4 days when I was doing DFW. So he's like, do not marry someone who can't live through that with you. Because of all the ones in my dad's group, my dad was the only person who only had one wife. Because my mom was 30, in her mid-30s when they got married, had been a single mom for 4 years. Hi, I was the single child. Had been a single mom and knew how to take care of her own stuff, sort of thing. So she wasn't, one of those women that's like, oh my god, my man's not nearby, I can't function. Not one of those women. But I mean, he's like, most women could not survive the crazy schedule of my dad's career, of which he's just now retiring in September. Most women couldn't make it, sort of thing. And that was probably, I would say, of all the kind of weird advice my dad gave me, that one has been the best one, because definitely in my last relationship, when I was busy releasing books and getting the Cameron Journal going and all this type of thing, that level of activity and that level of commitment definitely became a pain point. And so, when you have that sort of dynamic and you have that stuff going on, it can be very hard to find the right kind of relationship, and it's very easy for the relationship to just fall apart, and then you're in a situation where you're sitting there, kind of waiting for the kids to get old enough to eventually leave, and that's terrible for all parties involved, including the children. So we've lingered on this one. I want to look at another.
Connor, did you have anything to add?
Yes.
No, I said everything I needed to say about that.
Okay.
Yeah. This one I thought was a little bit interesting. If you have sensitive ears, plug those. All men want their women unfucked. The only difference is how these men choose to cope when they don't get one. 1, I'm the biggest she's ever had. 2, I'm the richest she's ever had. 3, she's never loved anyone the way she loved me. 4, I'm the best she's ever had sexually. 5, yes, they had her body, but I own her soul. This one right here is one of the funniest. 6, what matters is she'll never be with no one else after me. These are all the same, dude. They just look different paths to feed the ego and pride that was naturally satisfied when most men had unfucked women. We come up with different rationalizations in order to make ourselves feel special and feed our egos, justify our choice to love her. For me, I make them spend more money on me than they spent on any other guy. And yes, I'm rich, but deep down, if every man is being honest with himself, he just wants to be the first one to fuck her. In the meantime, we can keep coping consciously or subconsciously. When I saw this one, I was very interested to get your reactions to it, because I take a different view. So,
Connor, why don't you take it away?
My reaction to this is my reaction to so much of the shit on the internet. Like, go outside, touch grass. Where the fuck do people get these ideas? Maybe if, like, your life consists of dealing with men that are actually like this, you should stop questioning why men are like this and realize maybe there's people out there that aren't like this, and why the fuck do I keep surrounding myself with this nonsense? Like, I'm sorry, but if that's all, if she's interacted, if that's her true opinion and what she's gotten from her interactions with men, it's like, I'm sorry. I just kind of feel sad for you. Like, you chose to go date a bunch of shitty men.
I mean, I think what I find interesting about this is I think this is such a microcosm of like this is where for me things start to get toxic. Like really in the toxic realm of okay, dude, that's a little too far. I always tell the story. I got burnt pretty bad when I was in high school with someone, and after that, I quit caring who women were or not with, or when they did and did not were with them. Because I just learned at a young age it was pretty meaningless. And I don't get to make that choice for them. They can only make that choice for themselves. So why lose sleep about something I don't actually control? And that's another person, sort of thing. And so I thought this was just kind of like, yeah, this is, I think, a toxic reaction to this idea that, that sort of conquering nature within men towards women. I felt this was kind of the more toxic end. Like, if the first one was kind of like, yeah, I get that makes sense, this is kind of the next toxic iteration of some of the crazy ideas that people on the internet have about women. And I do wonder, like, have you met a woman? Like, can we call her? Like, does she exist?
Right. I'll probably be the dissenting opinion on this in one way or another. I think. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Someone just texted me. Should be. So I think that emotional maturity is a really big thing in relationships. I'll say just in general that this is not always how I feel, but this is how I have rationalized it in my brain, is that it's the past. One, you don't really, like, body count doesn't necessarily always mean a bad thing. Let's just, like, start there with that. I do think there is an aspect that women need to have some emotional maturity as well as men. One thing I'll say is that I apologize. Hold on one moment. My brain is a little funky after I fell and hit my head, so excuse me. Sometimes my train skips tracks. If women, like, men are horny fucks, I've worked with a lot of them. If women didn't, like, give it up so easily, like, no offense, ladies, but, like, if you're, like, a fuck on the first date type of person, or if you're hooking up with random dudes, like, at a bar or something that you, like, just met, and you don't get good outcomes from it, well, I mean, you kind of only have yourself to blame. In that aspect. I personally, if I'm with somebody, I do not want to hear about their sexual past at all. That's like a number one rule. I think another thing, if you're out on a date and somebody brings up their ex, that's a red flag because it means they're not over them. That's right. Dropping knowledge here. Dropping facts.
I have no standards, and even I find that offensive. Like no, I'm the same way. I'm not going to go on a date and talk about any of my exes, and there have been a few, or past escapades, and there have been many. I've been very lucky that way. Like, that's not a first date topic at all in any universe.
To me, it's like, to me, it's never a topic unless it's like you've been together a while and it's like, oh, you got to deal with like some divorced, separated, co-parenting situation. That's a little different.
Right.
But like, if you're essentially, I apologize, but to the median opinion amongst men is that men who are genuinely trying get ignored because they're not really, they're not Chad Thundercock. There's a lot of unrealistic body standards for women. I feel like, I mean, for men, I feel like the body standards for women, that was like such a thing of the early 2000s. And we've had so much body positivity growth in the last several years. Also, like, thick bitches are in. Like,
Yeah.
stuff goes in phases. You know what I mean?
Big
Like,
thick
everybody
goth
thinks,
mommies.
yeah, big thick goth mommies with big old goth udders.
Yeah.
Let me at them. You know, big booty Latinas. There's all sorts of flavors and fun that you can have out there. But maybe if you're trying to meet somebody for the first time and like put a good impression because you want to date them, maybe don't talk about like, oh, my ex used to do this thing, and here's this funny story that me and my ex did. That's not good. That's not good at all.
No.
I personally would rather have a woman with a lower body count. I don't expect people to be virgins because, I mean, that
Nah.
just is like kind of a rite of passage thing. But there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with going and hooking up and having a good time, and bing bang boom, you're out of there. And whether it continues or not, yeah, you both had a fun time, you shook hands, you said goodbye. I don't know if that's what happens, but I don't know if that's what happens in the median interaction. But don't expect people to want to stick around if you're like constantly riding the cock carousel.
I think the old adage about,
Oh, can I
when
share a
men.
story before I forget it?
Yeah.
Oh, like, there's this one girl I was like absolutely head over heels for. And she wasn't really interested in dating because she had gotten out of a long relationship or whatever, whatever. But anyway, I still tried, and she knew I was sweet on her. I like handmade her some stuff and some artwork and whatnot. And then, she was like having a bad night, so I called her to see what's going on. And she's like, "Oh, I hooked up with this guy," and then he just, like fucked her and dipped, and she was all heartbroken. She's like, "Oh, he was exactly my type or whatever." And I'm like, "So your type is losers? Is that your type? Like, do you want me to just say I want to fuck you? Is that how I'm going to get anywhere with you?" It's like, you won't fuck me, who's like totally invested in you, but you'll go and fuck some fucking random Guido at a bar that you just met. And it's like, look, I'm not touting myself like I'm all that or whatever, but the feelings were both mutual in a way. She just didn't want to commit. But it's like, okay, don't like tell me you don't want to commit or do anything sexually and then go get passed around at the bar. Like, sorry. I don't expect me to be with you. I don't want to deal with your baby daddy drama or your fucking shitty kids or whatever. Like, I don't want to deal with your blown out pussy. That's probably stinky. I'm sorry, but
No, it's actually funny. There's a video clip that is actually quite germane to this discussion.
Sleep with a man, you should be down for whatever he wants you to be down for. But the problem is, how is it you'll give your body, but you wouldn't give him service? You wouldn't give him a home cooked meal. Imagine you let a guy go in your body raw with no condom, and I know everyone on this panel done done it, and he could literally give you a disease that will take your life. You give him that opportunity, but you won't cook him a meal unless he pays. That's crazy, right?
yeah,
If
that's
you
right.
sleep with a man,
The other, I wasn't
should
quite
be-
the one I was looking for. I think it might be this one.
But
Okay.
there's something to be said about age and experience, life experience. A lot happens in your 20s, and things level out.
Getting
when you
ran
get
through
older.
in baggage and trauma.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
There's
I
people
mean,
with
men don't want
emotionally
that.
intelligent.
Don't like
Men don't want that in a
So
partner.
then why aren't they
Experience,
wifing
no.
us early? Why are they running around town? Like, you know, if they don't want us ran through and baggage and trauma, why are they like they're waiting till like how are we so at 20 I should be looking for 40-year-olds that are ready to settle?
Not
Like I don't know how to
not
you
necessarily.
I don't know how you it sounds like just a losing battle all around if you look at it as like all the responsibilities.
But
like, on the
it depends
woman.
on if you're a wife. All wives are found, always. If you're 20 years old and you're a wife, you're going to be found, period. End of story.
But there's something.
Yeah.
That was the actual clip I was looking for. The other one was good, but that was him talking about, like, if you're a wife, you'll be... That was the clip I was actually looking for. I was one tab off. But, yeah, no, but to your... I think when men are ready to settle down and invest with somebody, or they find someone that they're kind of like, yeah, as I always used to joke with my ex, I want to buy silverware and glasses with you, and I've never felt that before. Like so it's like I'm ready to hit an IKEA and like buy household goods together. When you get with someone like that, it's quite a thing to be, you know, it's for the girl you just pick up and you're like, yeah, you're great to have fun with, but dear God, don't ever live in my house. She's easy to walk away from. When you meet someone where you're kind of like, yeah, I want to buy rugs with you and like shop real estate, and that doesn't work out, that's a unique hurt, you know, as a man, you know, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, men are like taxis. We put our lights on, ready to find the wife sort of thing. And I think women sometimes don't understand that when a man's looking for a hookup, that's one thing. When he's looking for a wife, that's a different list. That's a different program. We've closed that one app and we've opened the wife app. The wife app is different than the hookup app. Like, yeah. It's...
Connor?
Yeah, Connor, do you have anything to
No,
add?
continue. I'll say something if I do continue, please.
I think like women should be, you know how women say you have boyfriend dick versus vacation dick.
Yes, I was just reading a terrible post about that. Yes.
Yeah, it's like, well, we, you know, same thing for back at you, ladies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Which is gets into this post, and then we'll close because we're 20 minutes over the hour. But we're gonna do this post real quick. It's amazing how dudes refuse to admit that we live in a society that makes banging chicks the ultimate in male bragging rights. For young men, it is the source of masculinity. It is the well from which men must draw if they want to be popular and respected. It was true 50 years ago, it was true when I was a teen, and it's true right now. Guys love to pretend women haven't internalized this obvious and deeply embedded social dysfunction. Which is, for me, kind of the cap on the standards for wife are different than the standards for hookup for obvious reasons.
Yeah. You have wife pussy, not girlfriend. You have not vacation pussy.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, you know, those girls.
We said that to women. Do you imagine?
Yeah, but I mean, I think
Do
there's
one of
definitely.
you guys care to explain? Like, I don't know if this one's just going over my head, but I just don't. What is she trying to complain about here?
It's
What's
a
the
key.
complaint here?
Well, the complaint is that women have figured out that men's masculinity, popularity, and respect is tied to their access to women, and he's saying that the fact that men derive their masculinity from being able to get and access women and sex is social dysfunction because it doesn't necessarily prioritize marriage and family. It prioritizes a hookup culture. Is the social dysfunction that this guy's pointing out.
Oh, okay.
It's something where it's like, you know, so if you're, I don't know if you guys have this experience, but like in high school, especially when you hit 15, 16 years old, you know, who's having sex, who has a driver's license, starts to be a big part of social hierarchy sort of thing. Like, oh, you have a car, that means your chances of getting laid just went up, and then rumor gets around, oh, you did get with somebody as a girlfriend or a hookup, all of a sudden, then, like, I mean, and the and I felt this especially as a bisexual guy, there is a masculine cachet to presenting yourself as someone who has access to women, to being seen in public with gorgeous women, and I have been seen in public with gorgeous women. I have gorgeous women still following me on Instagram because I still have model friends, like Suicide Girls, all this type of thing. There's a lot of social cachet that comes with that. But the reality is that system only works because there are women out there who are giving it up to different guys, not necessarily in a relationship or a marriage. And so we end up with the standard of men don't want women who've been around a lot, but they also want to have access to women in order to have status and privilege. These things are not coterminous. You know, these are kind of at conflict with each other. The poster here, Baroque Man, who's actually, he and I are very close in age. I've talked to him on Twitter a lot. He's saying that this fundamental tension is a social dysfunction. It would be better if we went back to the Victorian system, we'll call it, that didn't really end till the 1960s, that prioritized pair bonding relationships where it was very hard to get pussy without getting married. Outside of visiting the House of Ill Repute.
That's way too far back.
Yeah, that's, you know...
That's archaic.
Yeah, but there is that tension of the guys do want to get sex but not necessarily get married, and if women are really honest, so do they. And he's saying that tension is social dysfunction, and the reality is men do derive masculinity points from, you know, having access to women, being seen with women, being seen as someone who, you know, can get laid. Why do you think married guys who wear wedding rings get hit on at bars? You know, because he's been pre-cleared as not the killer. You know, right. Another woman has selected him, he can't be that bad. That's literally the female logic behind go after the married guy who's alone at the bar, is, well, at least some other woman has seemed to have verified that he's not the serial killer, so I'll give him a try, sort of thing. You know.
Got you.
Yeah.
I think emotional maturity is just the biggest thing. Like, if you want to be a wife someday, or you want to be a husband someday, at a certain point you have to be, like, serious about it. And you, like, I'm sorry, you know, the days of, like, oh, we can go and, like, have fun and whatever, we're teenagers, it's young, life is great. Bro, you're like 25 and you haven't gone to college. You're pretty much fucked if you make it to 30 like me. So I mean, we're not in a good state. We're not in a good state. This country's not in a good state. People should be getting married. People should be combining incomes. But you need to act like a wife if you want to become a wife.
Well, and you
need to act like a husband if you want to be a husband. Otherwise, get out.
Yeah.
You know, go find, like, can we get a dating app for people that want to be, like, start a life, and people that want to just fuck, go over somewhere else?
Well, no, we had that discussion, and it was kind of like, yeah, that's, you know, that's a Match.com, that's an eHarmony, and those are very focused on, you know, a marriage sort of thing. And it's, I mean, yeah, I think there's definitely, and I'll say this because I've fallen into it. I always thought I would meet someone, and if they were cool and I liked them, we could work out everything else. And in my last relationship, I tried that for 5 years, and it ended in disaster. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I have been getting coached by these dudes down here about how I need to get me some standards, like, and some self-respect about these things, and not just kind of, you know, hope and pray sort of things. And I think there's a lot of guys that fall into that. I was lucky we did not have children, so I wasn't, like, wedded to that situation. But I always kind of came from that old school, like, yeah, find someone you like as a person and everything else will figure it out. That's not necessarily true, especially when there's a mental health issue involved. On both sides. Both parties are diagnosable. sometimes diagnoses don't mesh together. Ours didn't. But yeah, I mean that's I mean that's definitely I think another kind of aspect of it is understanding who it is you're getting with. Is this someone you can actually build a life with? From fundamental principles, are they the sort of person that's going to make that possible? And if that's not it, and that's what you're trying to do, then it's best to move on quickly and find someone who you can do that with.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that was
final thoughts,
fun and
gentlemen?
exciting. I'm sure this is a topic we will broach again.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah. I don't have any beyond. I think there's a lot of double standards on both sides in the current dating market, and no one is well served by it. Especially I'm a little bit older and have seen. I kind of was involved in hookup culture when it was just kind of getting going. I also remember dating before the apps. It was way easier, by the way. You just met in person and things kind of developed from there, or not. I think there's a lot of disconnects. I think there's a lot of people who they want that really great relationship, they want that really great love, but they're also not willing to comport themselves in a manner that is going to do that. And I even count myself among that. I didn't necessarily have the factory tooled for that outcome in the way that maybe I should have. So that's not even a read. I'm also reading myself to filth there. And I think there's also a lot of people who want to have a lot of fun, and then, especially women, I think it is a bit true that women want to have a lot of fun for a long time, and then when they're ready to settle down, they're mad when men have kind of lost interest. And they're kind of like, what the hell happened? And I even think that goes from sometimes men as well. And I say as someone who's nearer to 40 than not. It seems like a lot of the really great, decent people have already paired up and coupled off. And at this age, you're really left with what's left, sort of thing. Leslie Jones had a great bit where she said they should just make one dating app called What's Left. And yeah, had Kelly Clarkson on the floor. Sort of thing. So I feel that too. And I sometimes get a little bit despair to be kind of like, what are my chances of getting a great relationship at this stage of life? Not that great. But it's an interesting thing. But I think the trauma that men carry from past relationships, and everyone here has some. We're not going to put it on blast. We'll just say we've seen some shit, folks. That's something that I don't think is taken seriously, especially by women. I don't think they get it or care. They don't understand it, and they don't care about it at the same damn time.
Well, that leads me to a final comment for both men and women. You can do what we just put up on the screen, and you can have some negative experiences, and then you can go and cry. Why are all women like this? Why are all men like this? Or you can do some self-reflecting. I'm not going to say her name or anything, but my last big relationship lasted for 7 years. We both did a lot of shit wrong. We both did some things right. I'm sure we both have resentments. I could sit here and put her on blast and say 1,000 bad things about her. Instead, I went and self-fucking reflected and learned things about myself that I want to make better, and things in other people that I don't want anything to do with. Try doing that instead of going online and whining and crying about why all men are lazy and or all women are this or that. Bluffing.
No, that's good. All right. That's an excellent place to end. We've gone far over time this week, but thank you for coming. Thank you for everyone watching. We had a great group this time around. This is the Living Joke Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at TLJ_joke. We're on YouTube at The Cameron Journal for now, but we're exclusively on Rumble at The Living Joke. And then we're also on Substack, thelivingjoke.substack.com, where you can find us on all your favorite podcast channels. You can sign up for exclusive content, all this type of thing. Both of these guys will be streaming games throughout the week, so make sure to head over to either our Rumble channel, The Living Joke, or either of their Twitch handles. Connor is a Grey Crow 01, and Will is NinjaQ69. And if you want links to that, they're on the Substack, so thelivingjoke.substack.com. Go check that out. And we will see you next Wednesday at 4 o'clock for the Living Joke podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Talk soon.